After reading thousands of tweets and YouTube comments and scouring Value Investors Club, today I'm unearthing 10 off the beaten path early-ish stage serial acquirers. Okay, so first up is DGL Group out of Australia. They have a market cap of about 130 mil, depending on when you're watching this. It's relatively cheap at an EV to EBIT at 7.8 times at the moment. Their price to book value was also about 0.6. And these guys are an industrial chemicals roll-up serial acquirer based out of Australia. It was founded by a New Zealand guy, Simon Henry, and it's expanded into not only New Zealand, but Australia too. What I like about this business is that it's founder-led still. Simon has about 53% ownership in the business, so the incentives are very aligned. It's a very unsexy yet very important, highly regulated industry. And there's an interview with Simon here on my channel. Next is Georgia Capital, which you can access on the London Stock Exchange. Their market cap's a bit bigger at about 460 mil, and their price to book value at around about 0.4, 0.5, again, depending on when you're watching this video. The style of this one is more of a infrastructure and business to consumer holding company. For example, they have a lot of retail pharmacy stores in the Republic of Georgia. They also have some big infrastructure projects like wind farms, and they used to have hydro farms, but they've sold those recently, and they're buying up private schools now, and a lot of it's sort of like essential services for the Republic of Georgia, pharmacies, hospitals, schools, stuff like that. The thing I like about it is that I'm actually familiar with the Republic of Georgia. I have a place in the Republic of Georgia. I've been going there for, I don't know, the last 8 years or so. So I actually have a very good understanding of the culture there, and I have friends there and things like that. So I'm actually very familiar with their assets. They have quite a big stake in the Bank of Georgia, which is actually a really impressive bank. And that's growing at around about, their return on equity is really strong, and they're growing at about 20% per annum. And Georgia Capital have a 20% stake in that. And that gives them a lot of dividends, which is cool. Unfortunately, Georgia Capital have a lot of leverage. I don't really like that. And they've got a pretty cool website where you can go and figure out the net asset value and play around with the different multiples of their subsidiaries. And I think it's pretty easy to track it. Now we move up into Finland with the company Boreo. They have a market cap of about 75 mil. This is just an industrial accumulator, very similar like Technion, Lifco, Indutrade, things like that. They're looking to replicate that Swedish serial acquirer model, but they're doing it in Finland. That's giving them a little bit of an advantage because they're Finnish people talking to Finnish companies rather than Swedish companies talking to Finnish companies, if that makes sense. I've got an interview on my channel with Kari and Aku, the CEO and CFO, and you can check that out if you want more information on this one. Now, yes stocks, no stocks is where I update my valuation work each week. And I obviously like serial acquirers, so join me and follow along. Yes stocks, no stocks, there's a link in the description. The next company is called HireQuest out of America. It's a staffing roll-up, and I really like that this is also a founder-led business. And I really like the franchise model. It makes the risk of this business, I think, quite low because it's distributed across all these different staffing companies, and they pay a franchise, like a royalty fee to the head office, and that's what you're investing in HireQuest. And I really like that model, and I think it's been rolling up the other staffing companies, and I think that's a great way to do it. And if you're interested, I've gone into more detail on my channel here before. Okay, next is one I'm pretty confident you haven't heard of. It's called Software Circle. It used to be called Graphenia. Very small market cap on about 60 million, again, depending when you're watching this one. This is a VMS software accumulator. So I think Constellation Software, Topicus, Vitec Software. This one's very early. I really like Constellation Software and Vitec, and they're trying to do this in England. The thing I still need to get my head around is I obviously those companies are amazing, the Constellation Softwares and Topicus and stuff. So the competition for deal flow is going to be probably a problem, but maybe not. I don't know how good Software Circle's network is, so that's something I'm going to have to look into, but promising if they can pull this off. The next one's out of England as well. This one's called McFarland Group. This is a packaging roll-up. Now, this is a really boring yet important business. Think about like high ticket items like strange furniture pieces or industrial equipment. Imagine like, I don't know, like a wind turbine or something like that. It needs to be packaged somehow safely so it could be transported on a truck. Furniture that's fragile needs to be packaged correctly so it's can go on a truck as well. And McFarland Group have this niche packaging capabilities, and it's a really interesting business, and it's a very fragmented space throughout England, the packaging industry, because geography kind of makes this tough because it's hard to ship packaging stuff all over the world because it's so cheap and small, and you're not packaging. Does that make sense? Anyway, so you need to kind of have like regional hubs, and McFarlane I think are doing a really good job of eating the competition throughout England at the moment. Actually, it's not just at the moment. They've been doing this for a long time. They've been accumulating other companies for about 10 years now. This business has been rock solid for 20 plus years. The track record is really good. I like the future runway and the reliability. The issue I have is the CEO's stake in the company is only about 3 times his remuneration, which isn't as strong as I like. It's not like those big founder-led companies that have 40% plus. The next company is out of Norway called Omda. It used to be called CSAM. Market cap's quite small, about 55 million, depending on when you're watching it, of course. This is a medical VMS software roll-up. I like the recurring revenues. So they have like software that goes into hospitals and things like that, where once people start using that software, it becomes really sticky. It's really hard to rip out the software of these places like hospitals and medical centers. So the customers are super sticky. There's like almost no churn at all. I like that the management have a pretty big ownership stake in this one. I don't like that they have to kind of turn around each business that they're acquiring. So they're going from businesses that were like quite inefficient, maybe running at 0% margin because the previous CEO was paying themselves like a big salary. And now they're trying to accumulate these and get their margins up to say 30%. So it takes a bit of work to turn that around. I think they're going to get very close to reaching their goals in the next quarter. I'm waiting for their report next week. I don't like that in 2024, they have a bond maturity, a big bond that they use to go out and make the acquisitions. It'll probably need refinancing. It's going to need refinancing, and I'm worried that that's going to be expensive. Okay, all the way over in Japan, this one is called Jigan. This is a website kind of roll-up of Japanese websites. I like that this is a founder-led business again. Obviously, I like that a lot. The strategy and the track record, I think, is very well done. I think that the future plans are really solid as well. I like that they're focusing on recurring revenue. The thing that I don't like is that the websites that they have, that they've been also buying, I don't think they have big competitive advantages in each one of those sort of niches of these websites, but as you put them all together, the business becomes quite secure because you've got different sources of revenue and nothing's reliant on one particular website or anything like that. But the websites themselves don't have big competitive advantages. That's my probably only concern with this one. So as you notice, we've been jumping from country to country. There's actually 9 different countries in this list, and I can access most of them through my Interactive Brokers account. There's a link in the description, and if you want to take a demo account for a spin and try out the platform and see if you like it. If you've only got one brokerage account, I highly recommend you should get 2 because you're then splitting some risk if something goes wrong with your current broker. Interactive Brokers, I think, is the best one out there too. So I couldn't be doing a serial acquirers list without going into Sweden. So we're looking at Momentum Group now. The issue here is that I don't really like the price. I think it's a little bit high for what it is, but it's a very good business. I like the management team. I love the track record. I think they're just following the same playbook. It come out of the Bergman and Beving tree of serial acquirers. I think very similar to Indutrade, Lifco, Technion even, except Momentum Group do pay a dividend. Yeah, the only issue here is I just don't like the price, but it goes on the watch list for sure. Okay, last but certainly not least is a company that, again, you probably haven't heard of, is called Brockhaus Technologies out of Germany. I like a lot about this business. It's an IT accumulator, I would say, is their serial acquirer model. It's a founder-led business. They've been doing this for a long time as like a private equity business, but the change has been that they don't like the idea of having to sell the assets once they've got these great little businesses. That's what private equity were doing. And they want to be like long-term holders of these companies now, which is essentially the same idea as the Swedish serial acquirers, which I love. And focusing on that small and medium-sized business market in Germany, I think is a huge market to tap into. I really like the growth profile of 2 subsidiary businesses that they have, but they've only got 2 subsidiary businesses. So it's very early in this sort of serial acquirer. It doesn't have the diversification and the safety as something like a Technion, even Momentum Group that we just talked about. But I like that they're looking at like higher growth kind of subsidiaries. They feel like bike leasing, for example, is growing very quickly. It's becoming a dominant player in Austria. There's a lot to like about this one, and I think we're in the early stages of a very, very interesting compounding business here. Okay, now I'm going to ask a favor from you after giving you all of these great ideas. It took me a long time to put together. If you could share this video around to see if we can get lots of comments about these companies. It'll be good to read the comments from people who know these businesses really well. So maybe someone in your network has invested in these companies or studied these companies in detail before, and I'd love for them to see this video and leave comments about the companies for us all. And remember, yes stocks, no stocks. There's a link in the description for my weekly valuations. It's no fluff, no BS, just straight to the valuation in that email. And I hope you enjoyed this one. I'll see you in the next video.